I'm trying again because the last one was quite long and it'll probably end up being longer this time and I'll upload it anyway. So yeah, it's not so much a pregnancy week 4, 5 and 6, although this kind of is. This is going to quickly go over the symptoms I've had, but also explain all the crap that I've had going on as well, all the worries. Crap seems a bit severe, really, sorry about that, but yeah, it's been the most complicated pregnancy I've had so far, considering how early I am. It's a little bit crazy, to be honest, but there you go. So basically I have a really itchy foot, so I'm going to scratch that while I'm talking. So pregnancy symptoms wise, it's also measured in week 4. There wasn't really much that I could necessarily guarantee was pregnancy symptoms because that's when I got sick, and I don't know if the sickness and everything I had was part of the virus because I was feeling sick and so was Alice, so I think it was the virus. So pretty much all I had was the drug-induced symptoms. I think they were drug-induced, which is because I had some of them from earlier before transfer as well. So a bit of dizziness, a bit of sickiness, but nothing major. Breaking out skin is still pretty damn tragic at the minute. Headaches and stuff like that. But, you know, that just minor stuff, nothing major at all. With the sickness bug, I also had the severe nausea, shaking, worse headaches, and just feeling really, really bad. Week 5 to 6, I have developed in week 5, it pretty much of the same. The tiredness kicked in week 5. But that was about it, on top of like the bad skin and just feeling a bit nothing major. The only thing I really got in week 5 was feeling quite tired, but that might have been, rather than pregnancy exhaustion, it might have been because Edith had been up and Alice had been up and I'd been sick and I hadn't been sleeping at night because of the fevers and everything. So I really don't know again what is a real pregnancy symptom and what is down to the virus. So I'm afraid I don't know that. Sorry, my fringe needs cutting, so I'm doing the sweepy thing. Week 6 brought nausea and food aversions. Now, I've never had this infamous poultry food aversion thing. Ooh, excuse me, I just need drinking stuff helps settle the nausea when I start talking about food that makes me want to upchuck through my eyeballs. That's how crappy I feel. Anyway, I'm not dramatic ever. Poultry. No. All of that stuff is annoying, but I then had bleeding and I had the severe pain in my right hand side. I was getting shoulder pain, and even I know like that is not a good sign. So I made a doctor's appointment. I went in, explained it all, and she sent me straight to A&E, which is like the ER in America, in the emergency room. Having rung up the gynae team, she tried to get me into the EPU, which is the early pregnancy unit, but they were booked. So she sent me into A&E and was like, you know, you need to get this checked. There's something not right here with the bleeding and the shoulder pain and the pain in my side. And she poked me and she said, you know, there's something feels a bit off in that quadrant, or whatever she called it. Go on in just to be safe. So of course I crapped my pants and I was in A&E for hours and hours and hours, or you know, it genuinely was hours. And there's a thing with the kids where I rang my mum and she finished work at 2:30 and I said, can you go and get the kids from school? I'm not going to be back in time and I'm really sorry and I don't want them to be left in school and I'm really freaking out a bit here. And she said, okay, I'll go. And then she texted me again, Lisa, they're in after school club. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I just sent my mother to the school to get the kids and they're like in school for another hour in like rugby and drama club. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm such a tit. Poor mummy. So she went home and I actually managed to pick them up. But after I got sent into a cubicle, a private one, like a little room, felt a bit special. No, I'm kidding. And she came in and she did the speculum and she said, your cervix is closed. It's a good sign. It doesn't look like you're miscarrying right now. So that's not what the bleeding's about. She said, but you have got an inflamed cervix. When was the last time you had a smear? And I was like, only November. So a few months away. And she's like, well, it doesn't look right. I'm taking a swab. And then they took blood and she did a severe pelvic exam. Obviously, you have got signs of an ectopic, so I don't personally think it's one, but I'm going to need to book you in for an emergency scan, but you can't do it today. She's like, so I'll book you in first thing in the morning. We may want you to stay overnight. And I was like, no. So she says, well, let me speak to head department. So off she went and she spoke to him and she said, you're allowed to go. Well, thanks. Why do I need to stay in the hospital for a night for what you don't think is an ectopic? Just to be safe and stuff. So I went home and I got the kids and it was just stressful. So the next day there was a hoo-ha because I got there and the traffic was so bad getting into hospital that I knew I was going to be late. So I ended up ringing them up and saying, I'm really sorry, but I'm stuck outside. I haven't moved for the last 15 minutes. I'm going to be late. I'm so sorry. And they're like, it's fine. Just, you know, when you get in here, it's not your fault. When you get in here, we'll scan you. So I sat in the car, bawled my eyes out on the phone to Darren because I was like, oh, the pains in my shoulder and in my side is worse. I'm now freaking out that it actually is ectopic. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in the car park. I'm going to miss my appointment. I could be late. What happens if I don't get to pick Edith up from play school? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm really freaking out. I was just absolutely beside myself, sobbed my socks off. Darren was like, it's fine. I'll pick her up from play school. It doesn't matter. You just don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Don't panic. It'll be fine. Just go in. And I was like absolutely in pieces. It's ridiculous looking back, but it was just too much. It was too much. I was on my own and it was scary and I was in pain and I was worried about Edith being abandoned at play school all by herself. And yeah, it was just horrible. So I eventually get in there and I'm waiting for ages and they were running late anyway, so it wasn't actually a problem. So I had my scan and she takes ages. You know how they do, they take ages and you can't see the screen. And the last time I'd been in that exact room was when they scanned me with the first surrogate pregnancy, and after spending ages saying nothing, she said, I'm really sorry, baby's got no heartbeat. And that sucked, and I had to have an ERPC because I eventually went on to miscarry the week later, but it was incomplete, so I ended up having that operation, D&C, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm in this same room freaking out. The woman's taking ages and I'm thinking, oh my god, it is in my tube. I'm gonna have to ring my IPs and break their hearts. I don't want to do this. Really great that I had no one with me at that point. It was horrible. And then she said, it's okay, how many did you transfer? And I said, just the one. And she said, it's in your uterus. Like melt on the table for a minute, like, oh my god, thank you. And she's like, oh, there's a thickening in the bottom, pretty sure it's a fetal pole, but I can't tell you for definite because the measurements are like too small for me to confirm that it's definitely a fetal pole, but there's a gestational sac and a yolk sac and everything looks fine. And I was like 5 weeks and something, I forget how far gone I was. I might stick the info in the bar when I've double checked dates. And I was like, okay, fine. I think I was like 5 weeks, 4 days. And so I breathed a sigh of relief a little bit there. And then I had to go back and wait to speak to the specialist. So I was waiting for like another hour. At this point, I knew I wasn't going to get out for Edith. So I texted Darren and go, I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to get her. So he went and got her. He's getting her a new car seat that date because she managed to break the polystyrene on our old one. So he actually picked up the reservation I had made for the car seat and actually had it in the van with him. So I speak to them and they were like, yeah, everything that we've got back looks fine. Your bloods and everything look fine. I totally forgot at that point to ask what my levels were. And they were like, you know, we're going to sign you off. Basically, you don't need to come back. They sometimes want to scan again in 10 to 15 days after the original scan just to double check everything, but they've got no concerns. Everything looks fine. There is blood behind the fetus, and they did show me there was this pool of blood behind the baby, and they said that's probably what you bled and you may bleed again, but it's too small for us to have any concerns. We don't think it's a sign of miscarriage. Well, it's probably just from implantation, so I wouldn't worry too much. And that was the end of that. So then off I went on my way, just sort of like a bit shell shocked. So obviously I let my IPs know that everything was fine. And I did lose the second lot of blood the other day. It was darker and there was more of it and it went on for a while, but it stopped since. I had a tiny bit of spotting the following morning. But that's it. There's not been any bleeding or anything since. I haven't had any severe cramps. I haven't had any clots. So I think that was just the last of the blood that was pulled behind the baby. Sorry, this is really disjointed. I may end up filming it again, but not right now. But yeah, it's just been really sort of stressful. I've never had such a worrisome pregnancy before. I've never felt so sick and crappy, and I've never had to go in because of a fear of ectopic and everything. It's just been completely crazy. So this kid has to be fine because I can't deal with this amount of stress and it going wrong. I just, no, I'm not having it. So, yeah, it's me being an arse. So I'm going to get off because it's still really, really long, and I don't even know. My brain is like... So yeah, that's weeks 4 to 6 for you. It's just been completely crazy. I feel and look like poop. And yeah, I will do a 7-week pregnancy vlog and go from there. And hopefully they will be a lot more boring, really. I'm hoping for boring. I like boring. Boring is good. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Sorry, this has been completely mental and deranged and just not organised at all. I can only apologise for how completely pointless I am. And I will speak to you all soon. Bye.